Hey everybody, it's 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and that means it's Chopping It Up, the number one radio show at 10 a.m. on Crazy Country. Today is a absolutely beautiful day, and we have a very special guest, a guest that you have heard if you listen to this radio station on a daily basis in the afternoons, and it is Dylan Ortega. How are you doing, Dylan?
What's happening? I'm doing good. Thanks for having me this morning, man. This is cool.
As I listen to this radio station, and I come in here and I see you, and I'm like, people need to know the man behind the microphone, and that is Dylan Ortega.
It's just a guy with a bird and a dog. That's it.
Perfect. So when I was walking in here today, I saw the poster on the wall, and it says Old Spanish Days. And then on the top left of it, it says Ortega. So now I need to know, number one, are you related, and what's the story?
Yeah, I'm related. That's great-grandpa. And, I wish I knew more of the story. I don't, and I'm sure there's a couple old guys around the valley that I could talk to find that out. But
Perfect.
I think he was involved with some of the first ones, and I do have a saddle that he actually won in one of the original ones, so that's kind of cool. But he was our whole family has been generational cattle ranchers. Yeah. So we way back in the day when the Spanish first came here, I guess my family got part of the land grant, which was down on the Santa Barbara coast. We had 7,000 acres.
Really?
And ran cattle down there for years and years, and then the Hollisters ended up taking it over, and that piece of property is the Arroyo Hondo Preserve.
Really?
Now. Yeah. So that was like our introduction into California, and then so that's one side of my family, and then I'm Chumash on that side as well. So we kind of have both of those cultures which do not get along, but are somehow intertwined.
Right.
So it's just it's really cool to know that our roots go back that far.
Boy, you are part of the dirt of the San Ynez Valley.
Pretty much, yeah.
You really are,
I plan
man.
to be here, too.
Well done.
For the rest of my life.
Okay, so we started there, and I want to hear more stories about that. But I was talking to Carp earlier, and I said, hey, what should I talk to Dylan about? And he said, the best way to describe this is when you were 14 years old, you were calling into this radio station. Is that correct?
I think younger than that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like 11.
So where did your passion for all of this begin?
It wasn't, it's funny, I'd always kind of like messed with music growing up, and I would write little songs and ditties and stuff, but it was never something I wanted to do as a profession. And then my dad passed away in 2011. I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And so that, for some reason, I just kind of picked up a guitar and started singing, and I joined the vocal ensemble at the high school.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like a way to get those emotions out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was never, in my eyes, it was never a way to get rich or famous. And we started doing pretty good with the band. And I saw myself getting into a lot of alcohol, a lot of parties, a lot of stuff that just didn't really, it aligns with who I am, but it doesn't, because I'm not an everyday partier,
I get it.
So I just kind of got out of it. It
Really?
wasn't something that I saw myself doing for the rest of my life, and it's always something I'm going to enjoy, but I'm just going to kind of hold those years as a memento as a way of getting through my grief. You know, that was just that period, and it's behind me now.
Do you still write and perform?
A little bit. I sing a lot in the shower. That's about it, though.
So how'd you get pulled into here, Crazy Country?
Man, well, when I was doing the music thing, I was I met Carp before that through this radio station. I was calling in for requests and stuff, and we just kind of knew each other through the valley. And when I started doing music, he contacted me, and we started writing a little bit together. He would put my songs on the radio. And then
how old were you at the time?
I was like 15, 16.
And you heard your song on the radio?
Yeah, it was crazy. I was sitting.
Awesome.
I have a video still of me sitting in my driveway in Buellton listening to it. But
fantastic.
But yeah, and then a couple of years passed. We kind of lost contact. I knew he was doing the casino gig.
Yep.
And then we met up one day. He wanted my help to haul a golf cart back from Ventura. And so on this ride down to Ventura, he's telling me, I got this radio station. I'm going to be doing this and this. I want you to be a part of it. And it just went from there.
One of the things I love about this radio station in particular, and this really isn't a plug for this station, but the reason I do this show, right? Carp came up to me, hey, you want a show? I'm like, sure, let's do this, right?
Yeah.
Is not a lot of people know this, but there's like only 5 independent radio stations left in California. And the fact that most of the other ones are like college radio stations and stuff like that, but this is the only independent radio station or country radio station in California. And I am absolutely blown away by that, because what has really become is like a community station. right? It's like community people, community members, covering the football games, all the stuff that you could never do if it's like corporately controlled. Yeah. And I think that's one of the greatest aspects of why to listen to this radio station, support the sponsors, because things like a 15-year-old kid writing a song and hearing it on the radio is a pretty special piece of Americana that this 105.9 can provide.
Totally. And I'm grateful I'm not the only one who's been in that position. Our Bear Riddell is from the Valley here. Yep. He's doing great things in music and just keeping it going. So yeah, definitely blessed for this place right here.
So you're on at what time today?
I'm not on today.
Not on today.
Yeah,
sorry,
I'm off today.
But when are you usually on?
3 to 7, Monday through Friday.
And what do you do at 3 to 7?
I just talk. I say the weather, and it's about the same thing every day. But keep people updated on local events. And
so, what have you always wanted to talk about on the station that you can't talk about, or that you don't have time to talk about? Because usually you're talking it in, talking it out, that kind of stuff. But what do you want to get into?
Yeah, I don't know. I just I would love for people to know the other side of me and my social media kind of aspect.
Let's hear about it.
Love to do RC cars, which has been a passion of mine since I was growing up, and so I started Long Valley RC Club, which is just for here in the Valley. If you have an RC car, if you have a plane, anything like that, we meet up a couple times a month, and it's just a way to kind of get families out and doing something, experiencing the outdoors.
So where do you do this at?
We have races at Riverview Park in Buellton on their track. We go out to Figueroa, do some hikes down to the river here in St. Inez, all over the place.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what got you into RC cars?
I don't know, man. I was growing up, my dad and I would take these road trips, and one time we wound up in Las Vegas for the Monster Jam World Finals.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a monster truck there that was RC, and I just had to have it. So I ended up getting that thing, and
I love it.
I had it for years and learned how to fix it and rebuild it and all that stuff. And
I find that to be like 90% of like owning an RC car is fixing it.
Oh yeah, totally. That's all it is.
Bigger, better parts.
Yep. Get the aluminum.
Start off there. So, you were mentioning you were performing a little bit. How did you get into, you're writing songs, you're singing them, recording them, sending them in, getting them played on the radio. Tell us about that story.
Man, it was simple. It was too simple. It was actually really easy because I had a lot of friends here on the coast, and most of them were in radio.
Yeah.
So like Jay Turner up at Sunny, Carp, Pepper, and K Jug. We just sent it to them, and they started pushing them. And then it was when I was 16, 17, I got a call from a guy out in Nashville who wanted to produce me. He was the producer for Little Texas and did a bunch of stuff with other big names. And so we went out there, and we got 12 tracks recorded, and I paid him a very hefty sum of money. He ended up taking half of our tracks, running away with them, never talked to us again. So that was my experience in Nashville, and that just kind of burned me out on everything, really.
You got bit by the Nashville.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you were going to are you going to continue that passion in your life, or are you just doing it as a hobby? What's your goal with it?
It's honestly,
I'm trying to talk you back into getting on the horse, man.
Man, I think it was just, like I said, just a way to get those emotions out. And if I'm feeling sad one day, I'll pick up a guitar and sing.
Really?
But it takes a lot to get me inspired to do that, especially in front of people for some reason.
So, but you clearly love music.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been sitting in here where you hear a song and you know exactly what song it is. You have a bumper going in and a bumper going out ready. Do you still follow tons and tons of music? Is it still a passion of yours?
Yeah, totally. But I've kind of switched up what I listen to. I'm not so much just pure country anymore. I'm going off into some pop stuff now, a little bit of indie,
Yeah.
Just switching it up.
So what do you listen to right now?
Right now, I'd have to say a lot of Ella Langley.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Why? Okay, I was going to ask why.
I don't know why.
Oh, come on.
I just like her, the way she sings. Her and Morgan Wallen. There's a band, El Camino, that I listen to.
Yeah.
That I like. So yeah.
And what about indie stuff?
That's El Camino. That's an indie band. Yeah.
So okay, we've ran through this way too quickly. You're a man of few words. I mean, you're usually just talking 30 seconds at a time, but we got to stretch this thing out. So, when you started making music, RC cars, let's talk about the history of your family in the Valley. How about that? So, when you said Spanish land grant, mean, that is how many 100 years ago? 200 years ago here?
Yeah, something like that.
And I think that's one of the little things, if you could speak about that a little bit, because one of the things I think a lot of people don't understand is the San Ynez Valley is kind of this beautiful epicenter for California. And like up until Pea Soup Anderson closed, there was a little museum in there, and I don't know if anybody ever went into it. But
I missed that.
I know, me too. When they were paving the one, basically, it wasn't the 101 at that point, it was just the one.
Yep.
When they started up in San Francisco and headed south, and they started, San Diego and headed north, Buellton is where those two patches of asphalt came together, and there was one contiguous road from north to south.
And we were like the truck stop town, right?
We were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like all of Avenue of the Flags was like there to serve the automotive world, right? I think, I'm not saying it's the first motels in California, but it's definitely the first time that, the whole difference between a motel and a hotel is a motel, the door opens to a parking lot, and a hotel, the door opens to a hallway.
I had no clue.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow, I just learned something today.
Little piece of key Saarloos useless information.
Very good.
But all the motels that were there on Avenue of the Flags that are still there. But then the Spanish land grants, right? So originally, and tell me if I'm wrong here, and jump in at any time, but when Spain was coming through here, they wanted to, they would give people huge tracts of land and say, hey, you're going to be, as long as you are positive to the Spanish, here, you get this land, you get power, you get blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And this valley is basically a patchwork of former and still some contiguous Spanish land grants. And then if you go up Foxen Canyon, here's another piece of useless information nobody really needs to know. But if you go up Foxen Canyon, that's the little area up there, and there's a little monument kind of by the bridge, just past Foxen Winery as you're going out to Santa Maria,
yep,
where that's the location that they got the Spanish military in the crossfire, and we were no longer Spanish, we were no longer Mexicans, we were now Californians. And that happened here in the San Ynez Valley.
Wow. See, I had no clue about that.
See, I love history of this place. And then that was, and I think it was 2 weeks later, California was now part of the Union. So it was like bing, bang, boom. California is now a state. California is now a part of the Union. We're no longer under Spanish rule. We're no longer this. We're now, Americans, if you want to say.
And then all of those land grants, they ended up getting split up. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you know any of those stories?
I don't.
Oh,
and I
really?
wish I did. You know what? I wish I had more to speak to on this subject. But
so where was your family's Spanish land grant at?
We were right there at the Arroyo Hondo Preserve, which is what it is now.
Yeah.
It's right there north of Gaviota, just a little bit. But it was like 7,000 acres.
That's
something
huge.
like that. Yeah, it goes all the way up to the top of like the peaks coming over into our side of the valley.
And so you guys ran cattle there for how long?
Oh gosh, I want to say 60 years, 70 years, something like that. We would get them on barges right there at the beach. They would load them up on barges and float them down to the Hollister Ranch.
Really?
And I've got a book called Cattle Upon a Thousand Hills.
Yes, I have that book.
Yeah, that was really cool. They have pictures of that stuff going on in there.
Is your family in that book?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So they would run the cattle on all of the hills. They'd run them down to the beach, load them up on a barge,
yep,
and then roll them down to be processed.
I think take them wherever they need to go to get that done.
See, that's that little whole part of that history. And if you're listening to this and you know this history, please call in because I want to have you sit across from me and talk to you as well.
I want to be here too.
Yeah, because when you start getting into some of those pieces, like like even Halama Beach, right? It's like Coho and the Halama property, and that's not a state beach; that's a county beach, right? And so I
didn't know that.
I'm not going to butcher this, but I have heard. Quote, and there's a lot of quotes around this, right? Was they donated that on the beach to the county and they said, hey, you can have this if you want. And they said, oh, we'd love it. So then they cut a road and paved it and ran electricity to it. And then strangely enough, they got to the other side of their property with the train spur so they could actually get to the other corner of their property. I don't know if that's the wives' tale, but that's just a story I was told.
Wow. I'll be darned.
This valley is full of that history that I absolutely love.
It is, man. It's like the old West, you know. even older than it seems like Virginia City and Nevada, that kind of stuff. It's like.
Well, speaking on the same thing, we had an old guy come up, and this was years ago, and this is another one that it could be Valley legend or Valley lore. Mm-hmm. When we were talking about something, he goes, Zorro was written about this area. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Really?
Because the independent of not being under Spanish anymore, not being this anymore, but being like our own Californians. Yeah. And I'm like, I guess that is true. Because if you read all the legends of Zorro, that's basically what they're fighting. And I'm like, is that here? And he's like, yep, Zorro was written about here. And so I've taken that on.
Yeah, I'll stick with that one.
Yeah, let's make that part of the Valley lore,
For sure.
So what are you doing now? We talked about music, RC, and by the way, how do people get in contact with you to go to the RC club with their kids?
LongValleyRC.com.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so what are you working on right now? What is Dylan doing in the future? Because you are an interesting guy, right? And you're being way too humble on this show, by the way. This is your time to shine. So you're doing this. You're doing the afternoon radio.
Yep.
What do you want? You're a young guy. You got your life ahead of you. What's the goals?
The goal is to do as much as I can in the time that I have left. And I stick for something for about 2 years, and then I kind of change it up. So in the last, 6 years, I've done a lot of different stuff. I started a travel trailer rental company, started flying drones commercially. Mm-hmm. I went and got a pilot's license or a learner's permit to fly planes, you know. I don't know. I've got this kind of idea in my head that I probably won't be here too long. Just looking at my dad and my grandpa and all of them. So I just want to make sure I'm getting the most happiness out of this life, and I want to help people along the way, because that's kind of the only thing that makes me happy, is knowing other people are happy too.
That is not a bad goal, man.
That's all I want. That's all I want.
That's pretty fantastic. So, RC, music, what other thing? And tell me about the travel trailer thing.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah, I bought 3 travel trailers and started renting them out Airbnb style. I'd go set them up at different campgrounds, deliver them, and people would just have that glamping experience for a weekend, and then I'd pick them up and take them away.
That's fantastic.
That went on for 2 years, and then I got to the point where I was so busy that it was just draining me, and I was a one-man show. Yeah. So I said, enough is enough. So now I work actually at Flying Flags RV Park, just cleaning toilets and doing whatever I need to do. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. So let's go back let's go back to the grandpa part. How much of the little history pieces do you know about the San Ynez Valley?
I just know that not a lot, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, not a lot. I can't tell you.
How long has your family been here?
Oh, 200 years probably.
See, man, you got to start digging into that, dude. I know you're a young guy, and I know I'm an old guy. And when you get to the old guy portion, you start wanting to know history.
It's so hard because the Ortega family has never been together. Like we've got a lot of people who've died young. We've got a lot of people who just refuse to talk to each other. It's never been a really copacetic deal. But getting that history is tough, because when you have people that don't want to communicate, it's just one of those things. But I do have a half sister who lives in San Diego. She's got a lot of the family records, a lot of pictures, but we just don't know what names to place to the pictures, stuff like that.
Too bad, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I just had a guy do through our tasting room, just reached out and goes, "Hey, would you like me to do your family lineage?" And I go, "Sure." He goes, "I just love doing it." And he sent me I mean like a 3-foot by 3-foot box.
Whoa.
And it goes all the way back as far as he could possibly go, with pictures and everything like that. And it is overwhelming in one word. But on the other side of it, it's like, well, at least I got it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And maybe a generation or 2 or 3 or 4 from now, somebody will pick this thing up and start flipping through it, and absolutely love every piece of it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's especially nowadays with all the technology we have, it's great. But what if we don't have computers? 50 years from now, what if some crazy stuff goes on? I like those hard copy pictures.
Me too.
You can put in a shoebox.
I'm kind of a book guy. You know, it's like when you brought up that The Cattle on 1,000 Hills. Is that the name of the book?
I think so. Cattle Upon 1,000 Hills.
Something like that, right? And I love picking up that stuff. Like whenever they do the stuff over at the Carriage Museum, you know, what Vaquero Show, or what is it called?
Yeah, the Vaquero Show. That's a cool one.
I always stop by there just because I know that there's going to be a bunch of books that maybe nobody wants, and I'm like, I'm going to look through every one of these things. I want every one of those books.
I've got some cool ones I'll give you if you don't have them already.
Oh, really? Which ones? What do you got?
They're actually a private collection, really, from the family. So
don't give those to me, man.
No, they're copies, but I'll give you some cool stuff.
So you're here on Crazy Country. Let's go through that a little bit more. How did you got hired on by Carp? You're making music, you're doing that, and you're in here every day, basically chopping it up and leading everybody through their favorite songs. If you could program this place for one day, like your full thing, you're going to program every song. What is your top 5 songs you're going to?
Man. They'd probably all be from like the 60s and 70s.
Let's hear it.
I don't know, just probably some Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard.
You can't beat that.
Some of my favorites. Ricky Van Shelton. For some reason, I just like a couple of his songs. George Strait and Alan Jackson. There you go.
So let me ask you this then, in that same vein.
All males. Don't call me anything.
Well, I won't. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about country music for a minute.
All right.
What's your take on new country versus old country?
Some of it I absolutely hate.
Really?
Absolutely hate it. But some of it, it's growing on me. The stuff that has more of the storytelling and the I'm more of a ballad kind of guy too. So if they can slow a song down and get that meaning to come through, that's kind of what I'm looking for.
What do you think country music? Why do you think country music has changed in that? Because when you were talking about, telling the story and singing like Low and Slow and Johnny Cash and Haggard and all of those, which I genuinely gravitate towards, right? Like I remember one of the first musical moments in my life, I guess is a good way, was my parents had a brown van. It was a Ford brown van, you know, and no windows in the back. And when I was a little kid, make a hard right turn and you'd roll across the back. I just remember that. But there was an 8-track in it, and it was Johnny Cash, and I heard Boy Named Sue, and I was a little kid, right? And I was like, it was one of those things where I went, what is this, right? Because it was a story put to music. I would almost say like some of the first rap, if you will.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, I'm going to tell you a whole story in a song. As I grew up, I realized, liking that song, if you will, I realized that Shel Silverstein wrote Boy Named Sue. And do you know who Shel Silverstein is?
Oh, yeah.
Like Giving Tree and all of that, right? So Shel Silverstein wrote Boy Named Sue.
Wow, I had no clue.
There you go.
That's crazy.
And so I was like, okay, maybe this is why I like it. And then that pulled me into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And when you're talking about old country, it was like mostly, let's say, a guitar, campfire kind of songs. Like, I'm going to tell you a story and I'm going to put it to music. Do you think, is that what you gravitate to, or do you gravitate, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm more of a sit around a campfire, single guitar, and a voice kind of thing. Yeah.
Got it. So what do you think new country is, in your opinion? See, this is all opinion-based, by the way. You don't have to say it.
No, new country, I think, is just really influenced more by the money. The music industry always has been, but I think that they're making music to cater more toward the younger generations, which are the ones that are spending the most money online, buying the albums, doing this, doing that. And I think that these country songs that are now starting to sound more pop and more electronic almost sounding, I think that's just the industry's way of trying to make money,
So
I don't know.
No, and I think that's totally fair. I mean, we're on a country radio station right now, and so it's like one of those thought processes is between, everything coming out new is what's a good way to put it? It's hard to beat the past because you can always have the greatest hits, right? You can always say like, oh, the old music's better, or the old Simpsons are better, or whatever, because you're remembering like specific things. Right. But there were thousands of songs coming out that year, right? In 1965.
Yep.
Where there's still 1,000 songs now, and there's going to be a few of them that are going to hit, and they're going to be in 50 years. That song's going to still be around.
Totally. Yeah.
And when I always think about music, it's everybody's like, "Oh, music sucks today." I'm like, yeah, not really. It's just like maybe you haven't found your hit yet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's great music out there. I had the chance to listen to some new guys that don't even have record deals in Nashville, and some of the stuff that they're writing, it's just like, wow, that should be number one in my eyes,
Right.
But it's interesting, the music industry.
Well, you've been bitten by it. That's that's the tough part. The other side of it is like I still think it's absolutely one of the greatest art forms that there possibly is, because if you're like you're saying, where you sit down and you're feeling something, right? And I'm a big fan of like the singer-songwriter, because Johnny Cash is not the greatest singer in the world. But, and I'm completely biased on Johnny Cash. I named my kid Cash after this. You know what I mean?
Right on.
So, but when those guys were singing, somebody writing a song and singing it and really feeling what they felt at the time they wrote it, and then going up in front of 100 people, 500, 5,000, 500,000, whatever, and being able to still put that same level of emotion into, this is what I was going through while I was singing it.
Yep.
Versus, I'm trying to track a song that is going to get on the radio. It's going to be memorable. It has a hook. It has a pop shot, and hopefully, I get a lot of streams out of it. Those are two different goals.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. You hit the nail right on the head with that one.
So what artists today do you really, really enjoy? Like, I guess that's a good question.
Man, probably Morgan Wallen's one of them. He's, even though he's the new poppy guy is what everybody says, I like him for his writing.
Okay.
For the way he gets the words across. I don't know. I've got to say, a lot of the new guys now I don't listen to
really?
Be honest with you.
Come on, man.
I don't.
You're on crazy country.
I know. Other than what's on the radio, I don't really listen to much. Yeah.
So when you're going to look at your future, I mean, like you were saying, you got 2 years and then you're into something else, and 2 years you're into something else.
Yeah.
Do you think you're ever going to get back to, like, you're going to sit down, open up the book, start writing, start recording, and self-publish?
Who knows? Who knows?
How old are you?
Who knows? 27.
See, you still got time, man.
Yeah.
But if you have that bug, man, I'm encouraging you to follow it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm really blessed that there's a lot of people in this valley who have reached out and said the same thing, so that makes me feel good that people still want to hear me.
Well, but if people are asking, why don't you start doing it?
I know. It's just
it's
finding time. Finding the time.
You're not getting out of here without committing to, like, you're writing a new song at least and hearing it on the radio.
Well, I think we need to write you a theme song for Chopping It Up.
I think will you do that?
I'll work on it.
Okay,
yeah, you got to help me with it though.
That's completely fair.
All right.
So, Dylan, this is your last 2 minutes, and you're being way too humble on the radio. You just really are, man. In all honesty, you're a very, very talented guy. You're incredibly kind, nice guy. You love this place. You've been a part of it since you were 14 years old, right? Or younger.
Yep.
This is your time to shine, just so you know. So this is the humble brag portion of Chopping It Up for Dylan. How do they get a hold of you? How do people give you a hard time until you start writing music again? This is your highlight reel. So go for it.
Just if you want to get in contact with me and talk to me, just reach out to the website here at the radio station.
Oh, who builds the website, by the way?
Me.
Oh, yeah. Again, yes,
another
Mr.
thing to
Humble
blame me
Brag.
for. Blame me for that.
Who does the social media?
Carp and Allie and myself.
Okay,
yeah, that's a team effort.
Boy, you are the backbone of this place, and you're acting like you're not, man.
No, I'm totally not. I'm just grateful to have a seat here and to be able to help out when I can. And I think one of my biggest flaws as a person is trying to take on too much and help too many people, and then I get bogged down, and then I'm like, oh man, I just need a break. So it's trying to just be here and not overdo it and
I get
just
it.
keep myself here. Is
Well, as someone who is on the radio because of you being an 11-year-old kid and calling in and supporting this station, and then now working here and doing all the work and keeping everybody, cozy is a good way to put it. You got a great voice for radio. You know exactly what you're talking about, and bringing people in and out of songs and doing all the backbone and backstage stuff here. I really appreciate it.
Well,
and I wanted everybody to kind of get to know you a little bit more, because I see that you like to hide as much as you possibly can from the spotlight. And
yes.
and just dragging you in here and making you do this, I wanted to put a spotlight on you, because you do a lot for this station. And I really personally love this radio station. Like I said, there's very, very few independent radio stations left, not only in California, but in the United States. They've all been kind of gobbled up. They're all kind of like the machine you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Where there is a machine that is, hey, this is going to be the new hot thing. And then it gets pushed right out front. And when you don't have independent radio stations, when you don't have independent media, when you don't have independent ideas, pretty soon you're just part of the stream, right?
Yep.
And I wanted to commend you for not only being personally, because just having this conversation with you, right, is you're not a part of that machine, right? That's the thing that turned you off in Nashville, right?
Yeah, big time.
Big time. And I'm encouraging you personally to go route and right. If you have a talent and you're hiding it, that's you're wasting it. You're wasting it. You know what I mean? You're a young man. Even if you don't hear it on the radio, write songs, man. Every single person in this world is so used to everything just being shoved down their throat, the illusion of choice, where you walk into the grocery store and you look around and you're like, oh, look at all this different stuff, but it's all owned by the same two companies, right?
Yep, totally.
The same thing happens in music. The same thing happens in art. The same thing happens on the TV. But the crazy country, this little independent community station, which is really what it is, serving the community of the San Ynez Valley and everybody who can hear it. I think this is something that is worth being protected. It's worth fighting for. And you have done an incredible job, behind the mic, but also, behind the scenes, being a big part of that. And I just wanted to get you on the radio and say thanks, man.
No, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And freaking appreciate Carp and Allie too. If it wasn't for them taking over this station, man, I mean, it's just like you said, this is the San Ynez Valley station, 100%. And it's because of them too. So, the San Ynez Valley, I always say Los Olivos remains undefeated, right? It's still a town that has a flagpole in the middle of town that hasn't been torn down, and we need to protect that at all costs. Is that is that a topic? Are they thinking about it?
No, but I don't want to get into this,
but
not. One of the things that always makes me sweat, is one day somebody it's going to center punch that thing, and somebody from a county or state or federal or whatever, and go, why is there a flagpole in the middle of town? Right? We got to get rid of this thing, and that scares me, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
Right? I want to put the snow globe and keep the glass on top of it and intact, because where a lot of people would say that that's a flaw, I think of it as a feature.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think there's so many things in the San Ynez Valley that are features and not flaws. It doesn't make sense to the rules of the world, I guess is a good way to put it. Like when you try to put more lines on the road, if you will. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that either. It's like, I like one yellow line right down the middle. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
But there are so many things inside of the San Ynez Valley that deserve to be independent, deserve to be, stand on their own, deserve to exist, because the longer these things have on a shelf life, the more independent, the more, what's the best way to describe this? You just don't fall into the machine, if you will.
We have to protect this place with our lives. I think that's my philosophy.
Dylan, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's the exact right place to end this. Dylan, thank you for all that you do here, and we do need to protect the San Ynez Valley with our lives.
Thank you, Keith. Chopping it up.
Hey, why don't you do the call out? Put us back to our next song, man.
All right, what do we got coming up next? It's Crazy Country 105.9. It's Dylan and Keith. Thanks for hanging out.